This is one of the biggest personal finance books ever. And it really all comes down to one single, super powerful shift in how you think. So let's just dive right in. We're going to break down the core idea behind Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad and see how it basically flips everything we think we know about money on its head.
So the whole story really kicks off right here. You see, Kiyosaki, he had two dads. His actual father, who he calls his poor dad, was super smart, highly educated, worked for the government. Then you had his best friend's dad, his rich dad. This guy was a high school dropout, but he ended up becoming a self-made millionaire. So right from the get-go, Kiyosaki was learning about money from two totally opposite worlds.
And yeah, the advice they gave, it was like night and day. Poor Dad, with the safe government job, was all about playing it safe. He'd say, get good grades, find a secure job, whatever you do, don't take risks. But Rich Dad, the entrepreneur, he had a completely different lesson. He was like, you need to learn how money actually works. Learn how to manage risk. And this is the big one. Don't just work for your money, make your money work for you. That single contrast, that's the engine of this entire book.
So, what happens when you follow Poor Dad's advice? Well, it's the path most of us are taught to take, and it often leads straight into a trap. Kiyosaki calls it the rat race. Let's break down what that actually looks like.
Okay, and this should sound pretty familiar to a lot of you. Picture this, a hardworking couple, they finish school, land some good jobs, and their careers start to climb. Their paychecks get bigger, and they think, hey, it's time. Let's upgrade our lives. Let's buy that dream house we've always talked about.
But here's where the trap springs. That beautiful new house? It comes with a massive mortgage. And then, of course, you've got property taxes. And you need a new car for the new garage, right? And new furniture for the new living room. All of a sudden, their expenses have shot up to match their new income. They're working more, earning more, but they're not actually getting any richer.
Now, Kiyosaki says this whole cycle is fueled by two really basic human emotions. First, there's fear. The fear of not having enough money to pay the bills. That's what keeps you chained to your job. And then there's greed, or, just the desire for nicer stuff. That's what makes you spend every extra dollar you earn. So you get stuck. You work, you earn, you spend. Work, earn, spend. Over and over. That's it. That's the rat race.
So the big question is, how do you escape? Well, Rich Dad's escape plan was incredibly simple, but also really profound. It all boils down to just one golden rule. So what is it? What's the number one rule? Look, it's not some complex investment formula or a hot stock tip. It's way more fundamental than that. It's a single, simple rule that Rich Dad said is pretty much the only thing you need to know to separate the wealthy from, well, everyone else.
Okay, first things first, we have to define an asset. And you can forget all those complicated, stuffy accounting definitions you might have heard. Rich Dad's definition is just dead simple. An asset is anything that puts money in your pocket. That's it.
And a liability? You guessed it. It's the exact opposite. A liability is anything that takes money out of your pocket. So simple, right?
But believe me, truly understanding this one difference, it changes the entire game.
And this is the only rule you really need to get. It's this simple. The rich spend their time and money acquiring assets. The poor and middle class, they spend their time and money acquiring liabilities that they think are assets. And that dream house with the giant mortgage, that's the number one example.
Okay, take a look at this. This shows you exactly how the cash actually flows. For the poor and middle class, see how the money comes in from a job and then flows right back out to pay for expenses and liabilities? It's a one-way street. But for the rich, look at that asset column. It's like a money machine. It generates its own income, and that income pays for their expenses. Their money is literally doing the heavy lifting for them. All right, so how do we actually put this into practice? Rich Dad's next piece of advice was super direct. Mind your own business. And what he meant by your business is your asset column. That's it. Now, this is a really important distinction, so let's be clear. Your profession, whether you're a doctor, a teacher, an engineer, that is not your business. That's just your job. It's how you earn an income. Your business, on the other hand, is what you do with that income. It's the act of building and growing that asset column. So what are we talking about when we say real assets? Well, we're talking about things like businesses that you own but don't require you to be there all the time. We're talking about stocks, bonds, real estate that actually generates income, like from rent. Things that put money back into your pocket month after month, even if you decide not to show up to a job.
See, this is the fundamental shift in thinking. The rich focus on their asset column. Everybody else, they just focus on their income statement, their paycheck. It's about taking your focus off how much you earn and putting it squarely on how much you own. That's the real path to getting out of the rat race.
All right, so what's the last piece of the puzzle here? What's the practical habit that makes this whole thing work? It's a really powerful one, and it's called pay yourself first.
And at the end of the day, this all comes down to self-discipline. It's not about how much money you make. It's about how much money you keep. It's about what you actually do with the money that comes into your hands and how much of it you put to work for you.
So let's look at how this habit works in real life. Here's the common way. You earn your income, you pay all your bills, the mortgage, the car, the credit cards, and then you try to invest whatever's left over, which, let's be honest, is usually not much. The rich habit completely flips that script. You earn your income, and the very first person you pay is yourself. You put that money straight into your asset column. Then you pay your bills with what's left. It creates pressure, sure, but that pressure forces you to be smarter and find new ways to make money, all while your asset base is growing no matter what. So I want to leave you with this one last thought from the book. Start thinking of every single dollar in your asset column as an employee. Its only job is to work for you 24/7 to make more money, which is like hiring more employees. And those employees buy you your freedom. So the question you have to ask yourself is, how big is your army of employees? Is it working hard for you?